Okay, so we've got our site plan starting to come together. Now we need to start drawing in the room that we're going to be working in, which is highlighted here, but we're going to do the detailed plan of the room off to the side, just in the same file though. So I'm just panning across here, and because I started with the default template, so see, yeah, I've only got a few layers there, and this layer that's called a wall is, well, that's for my site plan, so I'm not going to use that one. So I'm going to make a new layer and call it a wall, sorry, put caps on, a wall masonry. As you can probably tell, I like to break my layers up by material rather than whether the walls are, say, interior or exterior or something like that. I think it makes much more sense to do it by material. And because I'm doing it by material, I will set my colours using standard material colours, and the material colour for brick is terracotta. And so I'm using colour 11. But honestly, as long as you stick with any of the index colours, it's fine. The only time you'll ever have a problem with the colours in AutoCAD is if you use true colour. Now, you can use true colour. We'll explain later why that's useful sometimes. If you need to get unusual colours, it's good. But most of the colours you'll be using in AutoCAD are just a visual reference for you to see on the screen, and you want all of your lines to print black. And so, if that's the case, use index colours. It's easier to make them print black. True colour, it's a bit harder, that's all. Okay, so index colour, and again, any colour you like, but if you want to do it the same as me, colour 11 for masonry, and I'll make that the current layer. Just double clicking next to the layer, or clicking the tick up here does the same thing, and that's all I need for now. We'll make the columns layer as I do it. So now I'm just going to draw the inside boundary or envelope, I suppose, of this room. And we've got the measurements here, so starting and trying to get it facing the same way as it is here as well. So looking at this drawing, this line at the bottom here is the wall that has the door and the window going into the IT room. So that's how I'm going to make sure I draw it over to the right here. So just in space here, anywhere that fits, I'll start drawing a line, pick a point, and hopefully this is all just basic revision for you by now. I'll turn either ortho or polar on, but because these we're all going to say are right angles, I think I'll use ortho. I'll look at the right angles, take it over to the left, and type in the measurement that I've got, which is 8933. Yep, we'll go with that. So that's the length, 8 metres, or close to 9 metres. And then I actually don't have a measurement for the wall that's next to this on the left that has the windows in it, so I'm going to stop there, and then might just turn the grid off because I think it gets in the way at this point. Before I go any further, I'm going to go back to my layers and check that the line weight for this layer is a bit heavier, so that it's easier for you to see mostly. And I'll make it 0.35, should do. Let's see how that looks. Yep, that's fine. It's easier to see on the screen for now. And then I'll draw another line, starting on the right-hand side, and come up that overall measurement, which is 9099. If you feel like rounding things off by a millimetre, that's okay, because your measurements wouldn't have been that accurate anyway, a millimetre. So if you want to make some little adjustments like that to make the measurements more rational, that's absolutely fine. In fact, it's a good idea. So that's that next wall, and then coming to the left, the next measurement is 472. Yeah, I'll go with that. And then coming up 852 by the look of it. Coming across to the left now, the next one 7865. And now you're going to see where often people will have issues with things not adding up the way that you might expect them to. And I knew this would happen, this is why I got you to do it. So here, if I was to take this line back to this point, you can see we've got a major angle there. And of course that's not how it is. So that's quite common, and you often get a bit of surprise when you think you've taken measurements and then realise that things don't add up across each side of the space. So I'll stop there, and then what I'm going to do, because I've measured this room before, I'll go and give you my measurements. So using the measure tool, I'll just check what I think it should be. It's probably not perfect either, but it's better. So here the measurement I got was 9003. So it's about 70mm off. And you often will need to adjust the measurements of things as you work with them like this. So a few different ways of doing that. You can use this option lengthen to set the length of a line. That works, but it's actually quite a tricky command to use. So I'm not even going to show it to you. If you've been ever interested in changing the length of a line, it does work. And you can see here that I know how to use it, and I'm still, there we go, that's shortened it. It's kind of handy sometimes, and it would do the work that we need to, but it's a fiddly command, and I want you to know it's there, but I'm going to show you an easy way. So using offset instead, I think is more sensible. So using offset, like I said, I think it should be 9003. Oops, sorry, again, I missed it. Offset 9003, enter, and I'll select this line and click to the left. And so now I've of course got a gap between the previous line and my new one, so I'm going to use the old fillet to join those together. Make sure that you know the radius is 0. If you haven't changed it, it should be, but you can check that, of course, clicking on the arrow there to see your command history. And I'll choose these two lines, and of course when they're joined, this line now must be that length that I offset, 9003. So then I'll come back to my drawing and have a look up here and just check and see where I think, or find out where the problem was. So going across now from this corner to the duct is, let's see, what I got, 7793. So again, using, well, firstly, fillet again. So I'm just going to extend that line to join in the corner. So again, your best friend there, to join anything, fillet. Join these two together. And yeah, I'm sure it was there. So that there must be some issue here with these measurements, because that just looks wrong as well. So that's what we're going to fix. So, oops, where did I go? I've gone onto the layout. Okay. So, again, so I'll just take that measurement again. I've forgotten it already. 7793. Okay, so again, offset 7793, enter, select the line. There we are, there's the error. Okay, so this must have been, maybe I missed out a 1, or maybe it wasn't written down, but that's obviously where the mistake was, so this wasn't wide enough. So I will come back and just check that as well, so that we get everything to add up to be the same. So here now, from there, that corner across is 1210. Okay, so I will again fillet my lines together, and then check now to make sure that remaining measurement adds up the same way, and of course it does, 1210. So then I'll check it the other way. Okay, so again, measuring from anywhere on this wall really up to, well, I'll show you a good trick here. I'm going to measure from that point on my wall, that's of course next to the door down here, turn it off just to prove to you that I'm measuring diagonally. You might think, well, that's no good because that's 9402 diagonally. We don't want that. We want to know how far this way. Well, it tells us that as well. So you can see it there, 9091. And if you want to see it after you've finished, you can also go back in your command line history and see there the delta Y is the vertical measurement. So that's a really useful thing. Whenever you're using the measure tool, it breaks it down into X and Y, as well as giving you the direct diagonal measurement and the angle. But the important thing there is that, again, delta Y, 9091. So again, with offset, 9091, enter, selecting this line, clicking above. Well, that one was pretty spot on. So I'll leave the measurement you got me. That's fine. 1 mil or 2 mil off is fine. But yeah, there was obviously a bit of an error there. And you often do need to check these things, and it takes many years of experience to do all of the checking and take all the measurements that you need to be able to double check these things. That's why it's really important that you take the overall measurements and you take the running dimensions, add them all up and make sure it all adds up. And as I described, but I'm not going to make you do, it's also really good practice to take your diagonal measurements. So again, I'm not going to make you do diagonal measurements here. It'll be far too much work for what we're doing. But to do that, you would take measurements, it's really important you understand this, diagonally from corner to corner. Just turn ortho off so you can see. So what is that, 13,419, so it's probably come up to 13,420. And so you definitely take that measurement. And if you can do it with the laser, it's good. I mean, you could. I mean, sure, if you can get it from the corner and point it at the other corner, you probably get it. But otherwise, yeah, tape measure. And you know, if you know you're going to be working on big sites, you've got to get those big tapes. So I've got a 30 metre tape that's pretty good. And then I've used, there are, believe it or not, 100 metre tapes that are these big things that are like a big wheel that I've used. Yeah, that's what you have to use for those things. So, going back, and so that's a good starting point. Once you've got that done, then you can assume to start with that you've got standard wall thicknesses for all these internal walls, because we know they're brick, we know they're single skin brickwork. So also we know that they have, well, it's not plaster, it's just render. So if it's the smoother finish on the inside, you can assume that it's a plaster set render, which is generally going to be thicker than what you can see here. This is almost like a bagged finish, but it basically it is a type of render, and it's not very thick. I'd say it's about 5 mil, because you can see the bricks through it. So I'm going to assume we've got 5 mil on the inside, and then on the other side it's face brickwork. So really what I'm saying there is that it's not much, and we can just make the walls then still 110 in our plan. We don't really even need to show that internal render. And so if we say the walls are 110, on the internal walls that is, but also these other walls, they're cavity, so they will have a 110 brick there as well. So we can just offset. So you can go around, once you've got that basic footprint, offset 110 from all of these lines to get your line of brick, remembering we've of course taken internal measurements, which is standard for interior design, and we're going to offset outwards from there. So we keep that internal measurement, that's really, really important. And I'm going to leave this one for now because that's the wall that has all our windows in it, and we probably don't need too much brickwork there, even though there is brick under the windows, but we're not going to... Oh yes, of course, yes, sure. Yes, of course, yep, no problem at all, yep, sure, no worries. So, do you know what your computer number is? Oh, it'll be when you log in. 14, thanks, yeah, great. Brilliant. So, I'm nearly done anyway, so, yeah, you'll get screens back in a sec. Okay, so just to keep you going, after you've got that, that outline, offset, and then again fillet, probably gives you an idea of the small number of commands you need really to get a lot of stuff done in AutoCAD. Line, fillet, offset are the main ones for most people. So I'm filleting all these together, even though later we're going to extend these if you have a look at the way it finishes off. Right, so those bricks are going to continue around and do different things. But this is a good starting point. So then once you've done that, at that point, you can start setting out the openings. So that's good for in practice. You should always draw that way. Draw the whole wall first, then come back and put the openings in. So that way you've got a continuous line of brickwork, and the opening then just sits within that. And it reminds you that the wall does continue, usually above and sometimes even below the opening. It's just that in plan, you're seeing the opening being cut, so of course we're going to take them away for that part. So now I can use some of these other measurements you've given me. Let's have a look at that. So where am I looking? Oh, they're not here anyway. I thought they had. Did anyone take the opening measurements for the door? You did? What? Oh, this one? Oh, yes. So you just thought. Oh, okay. I'll see you for the door. Oh, you did put 900, but not the return.
Oh, no, sorry. No, that one's not ours, actually.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It's there? Yeah, 900, yes. So we've got the size of the opening, but what we don't have is the return. Okay, so I'll give you the return. Okay, so when you're taking your own measurements in future, yeah, really important when you're measuring openings. Of course, you've got to measure the size, but you've also got to measure the distance from the corner. So that's the return. And so I will just give it to you. You can easily go and measure it yourself. So 130, and then the opening size, I'm going to just double check that. 980. Yeah, so if you measured it as 900, you're not far off. In fact, you're probably right for the door. But you shouldn't be measuring the door. I mean, by all means, take a measurement for the door if you want to, but the important measurement is the opening. And that's not to the door jamb, it's to the wall. So you measure either side of the door jamb. Right, and that's the critical measurement, not the door jamb, not inside the door jamb. So in other words, from this corner to this corner. So 980, it's a bigger than normal door, and that's standard for these sorts of spaces. And the first one was 130, wasn't it? Yeah, yeah. Okay, so now again, once I've drawn a line here, that's just a construction line, then I can offset 130. And then again 980. Right, and then delete that first line because that'll get in the way later. But then when I go to use trim, press enter and just cut through. So that's the way you should set it all out. So the next thing would be to try and put the openings in for the door and the windows that you've got down in this wall here. But I'll let you try that. You've got the measurements for those. 1700, 2780, 800. But I'll give you some time to try these things first, and you go to your thanks for seeing.